Hi, this is Glenn with Crimson Lotus Tea. I'm going to talk today in this video about what is puer. I know I've done a couple videos now tasting a bunch of different puers. I've talked about it, but I've not actually sat down and described what puer is. And for a lot of you, I'm sure you already know, but maybe there's some information here that you'll find interesting. If you don't know what puer is, it's a very simple definition that ends very, very complex. It starts simple and it ends complex. Puer is a tea. Puer is specifically a bioregional product. Puer is similar to champagne. Champagne is sparkling wine from Champagne, France. Anything else that's not from Champagne can't be called champagne. It has to be called sparkling wine. Puer is very similar to that. There's a very specific region in China where puer tea comes from. Puer tea is not a category of tea so much as it is like I said, a regional product. And the region that it comes from is the southwest corner of China, and that is the Yunnan province, right on the border of Burma and Laos and Vietnam. It's high altitude. It's hot. It's humid. It's perfect for growing tea, and the tea that comes from there is pretty amazing. So there's more to the definition, though. So when there was a big puer bubble about 10 years ago, mid-2000s, puer was like the hottest thing anyone had seen in a long time. Lots of big money in it, lots of confusion. Everybody was selling puer that wasn't necessarily puer because puer had a big name. In 2008, the Chinese government set out to make an actual specific definition on what puer tea was. And the biggest portion of that was a geographical region. The 26th parallel, so 26 degrees, 22 minutes north, above the equator. Everything south of that is inside of Yunnan province can grow puer. Nothing anywhere else outside of that specific region can be puer. So the basic definition is a geographical one, and that is the geographical region that qualifies as puer. Now, lots of teas are made inside of there that aren't puer. So the other definition is it has to be it has to be the Yunnan big leaf varietal. That means Camellia sinensis assamica. That's the arbor tree varietal. That's the difference between a bush varietal that grows as a bush and the arbor varietal that grows as a trunk and grows tall. Puer tea has to come from the large leaf assamica varietal. It has to be processed in a very specific way. It has to be sun-dried. That is a critical statement that is actually in the definition the Chinese government put out. It has to be direct sun-dried. Some shops get away with drying it in the sun, but under a plastic screen to help keep the rain off, and they're fine with that definition. Some of the farmers that we work with specifically like to do a direct sun dry, and you can actually tell the difference between direct sun dry and something that's been dried under a plastic screen. But the difference is fairly minimal. Puer is a post-fermented tea, so the fermentation happens after the processing has been finished. So after sun drying is done, puer tea has been made, as long as it is from the large leaf varietal and it is in this geographic portion of Yunnan. Whether it's compressed or not doesn't matter. So just if something is compressed, it doesn't mean it's puer, and also puer can be compressed or not. It doesn't matter. And that's it. Now, that's the simplest definition of puer. From there, it gets more complex. There's two types of puer, and you've got one that is the traditional puer that I just described. It's called chung. It's also called raw puer or green puer. It's the straight beginnings of puer. It's very natural. The processing is very simple. It can be aged. That's what adds a lot of the complexity to it, age and storage. The second type of puer is called show puer, and show puer also means ripe in English, or cooked, or dark puer. This is one that starts as sheng puer, and then it goes through an additional level of processing called wodwei, which means wet pile. It's kind of like an enhanced fermentation, and don't mind me. I'm coming down with a cold, and I've got some really nice Kunlu Shan sheng puer from last year that we did, and I'm gonna drink this while I talk. Sheng puer. So show puer. We're talking about show puer. Wet pile. It's called wodwei. It's an enhanced fermentation. Imagine on a giant factory, about knee deep in leaf material. They wet it down. They put big heavy blankets on it, and they're trying to create a biomass of heat, which enhances the natural fermentation that's occurring. Generally happens about 1 to 3 months in length. Whoever's organizing the production can end that whenever they feel like the tea has developed where it's gonna go. It's a pretty risky venture. The longer it's in the pile, the more it can actually turn into something that is undesirable, and that's unfortunate. But when it's done right, with qualified experts managing the production and using some quality material, show puer can be really, really, really amazing. So from there, you've got two different types of puer. So you've got the puer as a simple definition, then you've got sheng and show, and then everything from there, the complexity is added with age, how long it is, how long it's been aged, and where it's been aged, the storage conditions. Were they humid? Was it dry? Was it near other aromas? Not. And so that's where the complexity really, really, really comes in. But that's the basic definition. There are places in China that argue with it for their own personal gain. Some other places that say that they grow puer. But the basics of it is puer tea is dark tea as the category, and puer is the sub-product underneath there. It's a geographical region. Some people could argue as well whether, like trees grown right across the border in Burma or Laos or Vietnam, whether they are puer or not historically. You can go back and forth. I choose to side with the people of Yunnan, the actual people who've been growing it for 1,500 years or so. This is the name that they named it, and it's named after a city in Yunnan. So I feel that it's worthy to respect their wishes. That's not to say that other places don't make amazing tea. They certainly do. But for it to be called puer, according to the Chinese government, has to follow that definition. So to get a good idea of what puer is, you really have to try a lot of different types of puer, and samples are certainly helpful. We offer a really special What is Puer tea tasting set, and in this tea tasting set, we have 3 teas. We have a sheng puer that has been aged. We have a sheng puer that's still very young, and we have a show puer. So this is more or less a triangle of puer. All flavors and aroma that are in puer, that are possible in puer, are going to be inside of that triangle of aged sheng, young sheng, and show puer. There's some definitions. It is possible to age show puer, but what show puer actually does with age is in a very tiny window of possibility. So there's not a huge amount of difference between aged show puer and young show puer. So, for example, in our this is our What is Puer 3 tea sample set. It's actually available on our site, so you get a sample of each of these 3. So if you've never had puer tea before, this is everything you need to start learning about it, to start understanding it. There's enough in here for about 4 or 5 samples per tea. So this is the show puer that we have is it's our Cloudy Days show puer. This is material from 2014. It's a show puer. It's really nice. The young sheng puer that we have in this set is a 2016 hidden song. This is stuff that we picked and processed and helped the farmers with last spring in 2016. This is really nice. This is a very, very nice gentle puer. It's really good to get an idea of what sheng puer is. And then we have an aged one, and we weren't in business in 2005, so this is something that somebody else has produced. The company is called Changtai. Love Changtai. They make some really amazing stuff, and this was really blended well. About 15 different mountains went into this blend. It's fantastic. It's from 2005. It's an aged sheng puer. This was actually aged for almost a decade in Guangdong, which is hot and humid, and it really did a lot of good stuff for this tea. And this tea is called Top of the Clouds. So we've got those three teas, and depending on our stock and when our stock does things, we'll rotate different teas in and out of that. And but that's what we have right now. So if you are curious about puer and you want to give it a try, our sample sets are a really awesome way. On the packaging and stuff itself, I've got all the directions on how to actually brew it and suggested steeping times and grams and how much to use and volume and stuff like that. There's a lot of information on there. And we're also super available via email or Instagram, social media, anywhere. I can always answer questions. So I also in this video wanted to talk about packaging. Packaging is really important to me as a tea company owner. Our first year, we did what we saw a lot of other people doing in the industry. We had a lot of things in tins. We had a lot of things in foil bags. And quickly realizing over the course of that first year that, from my opinion, it was incredibly wasteful. There's a lot of packaging and overhead and things that go into packaging things into foil bags, as well as packaging things into tins. We did a lot of stuff in tins the first year, and I started seeing boxes and boxes and boxes of tins, which can only really hold a very tiny amount of tea, and then customers would get it, and then would drink that tea, and then they'd have these tins, and you hope that the people keep the tins around and use them, reuse them, but realistically it's kind of hard because everybody's selling tins, so people have tons and tons and tons of tea tins all over the place. We've actually been phasing them out. We still have some of them, a decent amount. We've been selling them on our site for quite cheap. This is one of them. This is a tin of a show puer that we made. It's quite nice. It's a very nice show puer, and this is like $3. We're just we'd like to get rid of them, and we've been focusing on more eco-friendly packaging that I think actually turns out better overall. We do still have some stuff in foil bags as well. For example, like this one's a little hard to do in anything other than a foil bag, but as soon as this tea sells out, we probably won't be packaging these anymore. This is our 2012 Gumingshan Bulan Gushu. These come in giant 2-kilo bricks, so we break them apart and put them into these bags. Helps keep them fresh. So yeah, this is a fantastic tea if you haven't tried it. If you're looking for like a show puer that has a really thick, deep, dark depth, it's awesome. So traditionally, puer is packaged in paper. That's it. Simple as that. Paper, and then there's a stack of 7 of them, and they're wrapped in bamboo. Super simple, super easy. When you're done with the tea, you can recycle the paper. You can compost the paper. You could put it on your wall. You could do whatever you want with it. But there's literally no waste in this, and which is amazing. And I found that amazing. And so we wanted to focus on something last year that kind of tied into that. And so what we settled on was actually using paper for our sample bags. And so if you look at this, when it folds out, this is actually a full size sheet of puer paper, and that's exactly what it is. We get it from puer paper producers, and we use it for samples. It folds up really nice and cute. It all folds up, and we put a little tiny sticker on the bottom, and so now you've got a nice little paper bag. And the really great thing about this is it's easy to let the tea air out. You can take this and you can put it into your humidor if you've got like a humidor type thing for puer, and it's actually air permeable, moisture permeable, so it can actually age inside of this wrapper. It's a very traditional way of storing puer. We've not really seen anybody do anything like this before, and there's a lot of really good information on there. One of the really nice things that you can do if you'd like, there's a big empty spot right here. So just take notes on your tea when you're drinking it, when you're appreciating it. Write down the what you experience, and you can actually save these papers. Learn about the tea over time. Additionally, if you have other tea, if you've got other cakes of puer, the thing has paper's broken, you can just use these papers on it. It works really well. We do take the additional step of wrapping these in very thin plastic. And yes, this is, as far as I know, a recyclable plastic. But we do that specifically to keep aroma out of it. The aroma that this is stored next to, even during transport, I know it only takes like a couple days, maybe a week and a half or so for tea to get from us to you. But during that amount of time, you have no idea where the tea is being stored. Could be like stuck, in next to some paprika shipment, and all of a sudden it starts smelling like that. So we do take great care to protect the tea when it is in process. So, like I said, we've got a super deal on these tins right now. Please encourage you to reuse them. These tins would be really nice, actually, just to take out a couple cakes that you have, break them up, put them in here after you're done. These actually do come with some show puer. We've got a couple other tins that have some material, I think, from Iwu and Bayingshan, and maybe some Jingmai, some nice little tins of that stuff. And those tins are also reusable as well, and they work really nice. So if you get a chance, or if you know anybody who is looking to get into puer, our What is Puer kits are pretty awesome. They're pretty affordable. They're like $22 on our site right now, and that's a really great deal for what you get. Again, yeah, it makes a great gift. Somebody's looking into puer. This is it. Give them that, and in our website, maybe our YouTube channel, and they can really learn how to go from there. So appreciate everybody tuning in, listening to this video. And it was a little bit of a long one, but I had a lot of stuff I wanted to explain. My wife and I, lovely Lamudao, are going to be traveling to Yunnan this next week. So I would love it if you followed us on Instagram. We do a lot of live things direct via social media while we are in China. We're going to be there for 3 months. So if you follow us, it's basically like you're there with us in Yunnan. And we're also posting tons of pictures of really awesome teaware and stuff. And pretty much every single thing that we post on Instagram is available for sale. If you're looking for something in particular, message me. I can help you find it. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun adventure. And we're going to enjoy being there. And yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more video stuff from Yunnan live as well. So appreciate you guys to tune into that. You can like and subscribe and tell others about us, and we'd appreciate it. Thank you, and happy steeping.